welcome to She-Fi. We're your hosts. I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Amy.
And this week we're going to be talking about Supergirl.
My name is Zor-El. 24 years ago, my planet was in peril. My cousin, Kal-El, was sent to a planet called Earth. You may know his story, but you don't know mine.
On Earth, you will do extraordinary things.
Until now.
You must go. I love you, Kara.
One of the main themes of Supergirl is this sort of feminist theme of having a female lead and a female superhero. Amy, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's really great that they have a female superhero. I like that a lot of different franchises are looking into finding more female leads, more female superheroes. I think that's really great. We need to see more of that.
Agreed. And Amy, one of the things that we were talking about earlier is the whole how they approach this sort of feminist angle in the show.
Sure.
How it's obviously really awesome in a lot of ways, but then there's some moments too where it's maybe a little heavy-handed. And you had some really interesting stuff to say about that.
Yeah, it's great, and I'm very happy that they have a show with female empowerment. But it's kind of funny that they keep wanting to remind you, about it. They keep reinstating, finding different ways to say, oh, and she's a girl. A girl and she's kicking ass, and which is great, but it's like you don't have to tell us constantly about it. We get that we can get that just from watching the show. But I feel like maybe it's kind of a little bit of a nervousness that they just really want the audience to get the fact that they have created a show with a female lead that's a role model for young women.
When you compare it to something like, Hunger Games or even Divergent, where you have these really strong female characters, but they're not always sort of hitting you over the head with the fact that they're women. And I think the point is that for it to really be a feminist story, like if you really want to have more women being portrayed as superheroes or just as lead protagonists in shows, then it's you don't have to make such a big deal of it. Like if you want it to be seen as normal for the woman to be the superhero, just make her the superhero and don't make a big deal about it. Because when you make a big deal about it, then it's almost like you're saying like, oh, this is such an anomaly, like a woman superhero, when it should be seen as just as normal as male superheroes.
I was in prison for 3 years. I know how to punch.
Show me. Terrible.
You want to show me how to punch? Show me.
That's how you punch.
So, big question that they were asking. So if there's already a Superman, do we need also a Supergirl? What do you think, Sarah?
I think that we definitely do, because I think in the episode you find out that this sort of prison of aliens came with Kara to Earth. So there are all of these sort of criminal, sort of evil aliens who are around now, who she's going to have to fight. And if there are this many of them, then it would even the odds to have Superman and Supergirl fighting them. And I think just like in any superhero movie, it's a lot of them. You look at something like you mentioned earlier, Avengers, which of course, I mean, you could say like, oh, well, you have Iron Man. Why do you need the rest of the Avengers? But they work better in teams. Yeah. So I think there's definitely a place for Supergirl.
And you know what? The Earth is a big place. You can have someone. It's like saying, well, you've got, for instance, Arrow. Then do you really need the Flash?
So that's my story. I've spent my whole life searching for the impossible, never imagining that I would become the impossible.
So the cool thing about Superman, and in this case Supergirl, is that it's pretty awesome that a couple of immigrants
Mm-hmm.
are as symbolic of America as is like apple pie or
Yeah.
Uncle Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, they're immigrants in all sense of the word because they're not just from a different country; they're from a different planet. So.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes sense with their backstories. Superman was raised by this sort of all-American family, and then you see in Supergirl, when she arrives on Earth, he wants the same thing for her, so he sort of sets her up to be raised in the same way. And so they're, even though they aren't even human, they have this very human backstory, and so it's really it is a really interesting dynamic. I agree. It's pretty cool.
Truth, justice, and the American way.
So overall, we thought the first episode of Supergirl is really good.
Mm-hmm.
We did, however, see a couple plot holes.
Yeah. One of the ones that I noticed was there's this photographer, Jimmy, who's friends with Superman, gets a picture of Supergirl and takes it to Kara's boss. Why did she not recognize Kara in the photo? Was it just, was it not as good as Jimmy was saying it was? Seemed like a little bit of a plot hole.
So another plot hole was at the very end, you know, she's fighting the bad guy again for the second time. She lost the first round. She's going to get him in the second round, but she's going to use just burn through the axe that he has. Mm-hmm. So while they're kind of wrestling around, she's like on her back. He's kind of like on top of her, and he's trying to put this axe into her, and she's got the axe, trying to prevent it from coming down on her, and then she uses her powers to you know, burn up the axe and make it like super, super hot.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm wondering is, as the axe is getting super, super hot, doesn't he just let go? I mean, he's, it's hot. Onto it. And then he, you know, basically just kind of burns him up because he just keeps, why doesn't he just let go and just continue, you know, fighting her? So
yeah, because it's kind of a long moment there where he's holding on to that axe. Like, there's a whole, like, couple lines of dialogue between Kara and her sister. Kara has an earpiece, and she's talking with her sister, and they're having, like, a conversation the whole time the guy's holding the axe.
Drop it like it's hot.
Well, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of She-Fi, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.